Altair is an open source statistical data visualization library for Python. It lets us create interactive charts in Jupyter Notebook with few lines of code. Altair's API is fairly simple, friendly, and consistent, which lets developers spend more time understanding the data and its meaning rather than worrying about getting the code right for the charts. Now, Altair is built on the top of a JavaScript data visualization library named Vega-lite. Vega-lite is commonly referred to as high-level grammar of interactive graphics. As Vega-lite is based on a concept of grammar of graphics, so is Altair. Now, the grammar of graphics is a concept where you define individual chart components like data, aesthetics or encodings, scale, statistics, geometric objects, etc. separately and then combine them together to create a final data visualization. With grammar of graphics, it becomes easy to think about and create charts. So that was a small introduction to the library. My name is Solanki, and in this video I will explain you how to create interactive charts in Jupyter Notebook using Altair. So if you're looking to learn something new today, you have come to the right place. Stay tuned. As you can see on my screen, I already have Jupyter Notebook open and I have highlighted important sections of the tutorial at the beginning of the notebook. We'll be covering 4 different chart types, which is scatter charts, bar charts, line charts, and pie charts. We'll be covering a variety of bar charts like horizontal bar charts, stacked and group bar charts, as well as variety of pie chart, commonly referred to as donut chart. So first of all, I have imported the library Altair and printed the current version which is installed on my system. So this is the latest and the stable version, and we'll be using this version for our tutorial. Now before we go on and create charts, we need some data to create charts. So here I have included code to load 2 different datasets that we'll be using for our chart. The first dataset is wine dataset. Now this dataset is easily available from Python library named scikit-learn, and dataset says information about various ingredients used in creation of different types of wine. So let me execute this cell and show you what data looks like. So as you can see, I have loaded the dataset as a pandas data frame and displayed first few row of the dataset. So these are ingredients: alcohol, malic acid, ash, alkalinity of ash, magnesium, etc. And there is a wine type as well. So there are 3 different types of wine: class 0, class 1, and class 2. So this is our categorical variable which we'll be using when we are creating bar charts. Okay, so the second data set that we'll be using for our purpose is Apple over Chelsea dataset. Now I have downloaded this dataset from Yahoo Finance as a CSV file, and the dataset has the data about Apple stock from 2019 to 2020. So let me execute this cell and show you the result. So yeah, the dataset is loaded. I have displayed first few rows of the dataset, and I have loaded this dataset as a pandas data frame. So let's move on and create some charts. So the first chart type that we will introduce is scatter chart. Now I want to create a simple scatter chart showing a relationship between 2 ingredients from our wine dataset. So I'll be creating scatter chart showing relations between alcohol and malic acid ingredients. Now in order to create any chart using Altair, we need to call series of methods. So first of all, I need to call chart method, and over here I need to specify dataset. So we'll be using our wine data frame as our dataset. Then so we have specified that we want to use this dataset to Altair. Now we want to inform it that what we want to draw on chart. So I want to draw points on chart. So for that, the method name is mark point. Okay, and now we have informed chart that we want to use this dataset and we want to draw points on chart. Now we want to provide it encoding information like what should be the x-axis values, what should be y-axis value that we should use from dataset. So that we can do using encode function. Now this function over here we can specify for x-axis. So there is a parameter name x that I want to use alcohol. For y-axis I want to use malic acid. So yeah, so this we are done with this, and let me execute the cell and show you the result. So as you can see on my screen, we have our first chart ready, And we are able to create chart with just one line of code over here. It is that simple to create chart using Altair. Now, as you can see, I have called one after another method on the result of previous method. If you want, you can save the result of alt.chart to some variable and then call mark point method on it, and save the result to some variable and then call encode method, and it will work as well. But this is the generally followed way by Altair developers when creating charts. So we have our first scatter chart ready. Now this chart looks quite basic. You see we have axis labels which are same as column names. We don't have title, and also chart is starting from 0 for x and y axis, whereas our data starts generally after 10 value for alcohol. So let's go ahead and modify this value. So now what I will do, I will modify chart properties. So in order to modify label, now to x parameter, we can call a method name x, and we can give it like alcohol, we can give it alcohol. And in order to specify label for the axis, there is a parameter named title. So I will ask it to use alcohol with A capital. And now, as you noticed that both the axes were starting at 0. Now I don't want to start it as 0 because our data starts like after 10 for alcohol values, and for same goes for malic acid as well. So how can I prevent this? How can I prevent it starting from 0? So there is a parameter named scale in this method x, and I can set it to alt.scale function, and over here I need to specify parameter 0 and I need to set it to false. So we have asked to scale not start from 0. So that was x-axis. Same way we can create y-axis as well. So we can give malic acid over here. I want to use title as malic acid, and I will again copy this scale so that it does not start from 0. It starts from where it should start. So there we have specified encoding. Now let's go ahead and modify a few other properties. So let's modify size of the points as well. So the size of the points we need to set through mark point parameter, mark point method, not parameter. And color, we can specify color over here. I will set it to tomato. So let me just organize the code a little bit. So there we go. Let's move it to the next line. Y-axis, x-axis. So we have defined size for the points and color as well. And yeah, we need to give title to the chart as well as I want to modify the figure size. So that I can do by calling one more method on the result, which is properties. Over here, I can specify title for the chart, like alcohol versus malic acid. And I can specify figure size using width and height parameters. So I will set width to, let's say, 700 pixels and height to 500 pixels. And apart from this, let's say that I want to use tooltip as well. So whenever I hover over any point, I want to see what is the alcohol and malic acid values at that point. So that we can do using tooltip parameter of encode function. Now over here we need to provide list of columns that I want to see. So alcohol, I want to see alcohol, and next I want to see malic acid. And right, so let me execute this cell and show you the result. So as you can see, now our chart looks better. Let me set this to 400. So yeah, now this one looks quite better compared to our previous chart. So we modified size, we have proper axis labels, and the chart is not starting from zero like is used to do earlier. We have proper title. We have changed the color of the, and let me change the size a little bit more. Okay, so yeah, there it is. And whenever I hover over any point, I can see that values of alcohol and malic acid at that point. Now, if I want to create this chart interactive, so I can do that by simply calling interactive function or interactive method on our last result which we got from properties. So let me execute and show. Now I have called the interactive method. Chart is interactive, so we can do panning, and we can also zoom in and zoom out of the chart. Right, so it was that simple to create chart and modify the properties of the chart. So let's create one more scatter chart. Now over here, as you can see, all the points of the chart are colored with just one color, which is tomato color. Now what I want to do is that I want to create another scatter chart, but I want to color the points of the chart based on the wine type. So as I displayed earlier, there are three different types of wine: class 0, class 1, and class 2. And I want to color chart points based on wine type. So how can I do that? So let me show you that. So I will copy our previous code. Let me remove interactive for now. Now we don't need to set color over here. So I have removed color parameter from mark point. We will specify color over here. We will set it to wine type. All right, so that is the only change we need to do. Let me execute the cell and show you the result. All right, so now as you can see, we have three different types of point in our chart, which are based on the wine type. Now keep an eye on these things, like when you're calling encode method over here, you specify color with column name from our data set. Whatever the value you specify in encode method are generally column names from our data set. If you want to modify color of all the points or size of all the points, then you specify those value in mark point method. So keep an eye on this. When you're calling encode method, you can't set color over here to tomato, it will fail. Okay, over here you need to specify only column names. So it was that simple. Now let's say that you want the size of the point as well different based on some other ingredient. Let's say I want to specify like size based on, there's a column name, ingredient name ash. So I want to specify size based on ash. So I can do that. And when I'm doing here, I need to remove size parameter from here, from mark. So don't specify color at both the location, inside call to mark point and inside the encode. Specify it in only one place. Same goes for size parameter. So let me execute this cell and show you the result. All right, as you can see, now I have point size different. So based on the value of column name hash. So it is that simple. And if you want, like I want different markers for my points, so that you can do by setting shape parameter with some categorical column. So we can say like shape is equal to wine type, and it will create three different shapes for wine type based on wine type. So that's it. Let's move on to our next chart type. Now before we move on to our second chart type, bar chart, let me introduce one more thing which I forgot to introduce last time. So we created all our scatter charts using mark point method, but there is a one more method name which is present. So the point are like unfilled circles, and if you want filled circles, then you need to call circle method, mark circle. So let me execute this and show you the result. As you can see, now the points in the charts are filled. So let me set the size to like 100. So they're little bigger points. Okay, so when you want filled points in chart, so use mark circle, and when you want unfilled circles, then use mark point method. So remember that. So let's move on to our next chart type, which is bar chart. Now I want to create simple bar charts showing average value of ingredients which are used, and average value of ingredients per wine type. So in order to do that, I have created a new data frame named average wine data frame. So let me execute this shell and show you the result. As you can see, now I have a average value of ingredients based on wine types. So for class 0, average value of alcohol is 13.74 and so on. So to retrieve this data frame, I have called a group by function of pandas data frame and then called main function on it. So I have grouped entries by wine type and then called main function on it. So the data frame has the average value of ingredients per wine type. So let's go ahead and create our first bar chart using this data frame. Now I want to create a bar chart showing average value of this ingredient flavonoids per wine type. So there will be 3 bars in the chart, class 0, class 1 and class 2, and they will show the average value of flavonoids. So let me copy some of our previous code. We can reuse our previous code. So over here now, instead of wine df, I need to use average wine df. Instead of mark point, I need to use a method name mark bar. Okay. For x-axis, I will say I want to use wine type. For y-axis, I want to use flavonoids. And there is no need for color and hash over here. We can set tooltip to wine type and value to flavonoids. Let's set width to 600 by 400. And over here, I will specify average flavonoids per wine type. So we were able to reuse some of our previous codes, and we created this bar chart by making changes to previous one. So let me execute this cell and show you the result. All right, so here we have our bar chart ready, and as you can see, it is showing average value of flavonoids per wine type. So x-axis is class 0, class 1 and class 2, and y-axis is values of flavonoid. So let me change the color to tomato so it looks little better. And let me change the axis titles as well. Over here I will specify this is wine. I will set title to wine categories, and over here let's call alt.y. Let's copy flavonoids inside title flavonoids, and let me execute this cell and show you the result. All right, so now this one looks a little better. We modified the axis label as well. So it was that simple to create a bar chart using Altair. As you can see, this is just one line of code, but for readability, we have moved it to more than one lines. So let's go ahead and create a one more bar chart type, which is horizontal bar chart type. Now we can easily modify our previous code and create a horizontal bar chart. Let me do that for you. Now, in order to create a horizontal bar chart, for x-axis, I'll be using flavonoids, and for y-axis, I'll be using wine type. So let me just modify that, and that is the only change that we need to do. Let me execute this and show you the result. So as you can see, here we have a horizontal bar chart. It was that easy to create a horizontal bar chart using Altair. So let's move on and create a one more bar chart type, which is quite commonly used, and it is stacked bar chart. Now, in order to create a stacked bar chart, I have created a one more data frame. So I have melted our original wine data frame, average wine data frame. So let me show you what was our original average wine data frame. So this was our original wine data frame, average wine. Now if I melt this data frame, so let me just call melt function on it and show you how it looks. Average wine data frame. So as you can see, when I melt the data frame, it is taking column name over here, which is variable column name, and its value over here. Okay. So when we simply call melt function, it will create a data frame like this, which melts the value of our average wine data frame. Now I have made some minor changes over here. I want wine type to be present as one of our column, and I don't want all the ingredients. I want some selected ingredients in our final data frame. So let me execute this cell and show the result. So as you can see, now I have three columns in our data frame. First is wine type, which can be class 0, class 1, and class 2. So that's why I said id where's over here to wine type, because I needed wine type. And second column is ingredients name, which are the ones which we selected: malic acid, total phenols, flavonoids, hue, color intensity, and proanthocyanins. And third is the average value. For class 0, malic acid was 2.01, so that is that. And value values are set with these ingredients, which is a list of ingredients that we have selected. Now we will create a stacked bar chart using this data frame. So our stack bar chart will show average value of the selected ingredients per wine type. So again, we will have 3 bars in our chart, but 3 stacked bar. Okay. So let me copy my previous code. As usual, we'll be reusing our code many times. So let me copy it over here. Now, instead of average wine df, I need to use melted wine df. I don't need to specify color equal to tomato, so I will remove that. For x-axis, we'll be using wine type. For y-axis, I'll be using value column. Okay, and we need to specify color. Okay, and color we will set with ingredients. Okay, this ingredient, so it will be used to color bars. Okay, so okay, and let me change over here. I want to display wine type and value ingredients as well. Let's remove wine type because there are 3 bars only. And over here I will say like average ingredients, title will be ingredients as well. So let me execute this cell, and as you can see, I only made one change, which is color. I set it to ingredient, and we are using this melted wine df to create a data set. Other than that, majority of our code is same as our previous chart. Let me execute this cell and show you the result. Yeah, now you can see that we have our stacked bar chart with selected ingredients. Whenever I hover over any bar, I can see like what is the ingredient and what is the average value of that ingredient for that wine type. So it was that easy to create a stack bar chart. Let's move on and create one more bar chart type, which is quite commonly used, which is group bar chart. Now I will again create a group bar chart which will show average values of ingredients for wine type. So we'll be again using our melted wine df for our purpose. So let me copy this code. Okay, so for x over here, I don't need to make any other changes, just melted wine df. I will set it to, okay, dataset will be melted wine df. For x-axis, value will be again wine type. For y-axis, the value will be value. Okay, no, okay, let me make change over here. For x-axis, now this time we will use ingredient, and for y-axis, obviously it will be value. Then color will be based on ingredient, and in order to create a group bar chart, we need to specify a parameter named column, and this parameter I will set to wine type. Okay, so x-axis I have set to ingredients, y-axis value. So let me show you for melted wine df again, so you get better idea. Okay, so x-axis is ingredient name. Okay, y-axis is value of that ingredient, which is average value of that ingredient. Color is again based on ingredient. What is ingredient name? Based on that, color will be there. And column will be wine type. Okay, so one column will be have bars of one wine type. Okay, so let me execute this cell and show you the result. Okay, as you can see, we have our group bar chart, but it has become quite width is quite high. So let me reduce width a bit Let me set it to 200 and see how it looks. Okay, now this one looks better. Okay. So here we have our grouped bar chart where we have a like average value of this ingredient for wine type. Okay, so wine type is mentioned over here, class 0, class 1 and class 2, and below we have mentioned our ingredient names. And whenever I hover over any bar, I can see what is the average value of that ingredient. So okay, so that was the list of bar charts that we introduced. Let's move on to our next chart type. Okay, so the third chart type that we'll introduce for our purpose is line charts, and we'll be using our Apple DF data frame which we had loaded earlier. So let me show you first few row again. Okay, so here we have Apple DF data frame. Now I want to create a simple line chart showing average value of lowest price of this Apple stock over time. So let me go ahead and copy our code as usual. We'll be reusing our code. So right here I am. Let me move this code which we'll use later. So again I will use Apple DF as our data, and instead of mark bar I need to use the method name mark line. For x-axis I will set it to date and title will be date. Okay, y-axis I want to use close prices. I will set close price dollar. We don't need color and columns over here. Again, tooltip will be set to date and close column. And let me modify title of the chart to close prices 2019 to 2020. Let me modify the width as well. So set it to 700 by 400. So yeah, we made just few changes to our previous code, and let me execute this cell and show you the result. Right, so there we go. Here we have our line chart. Now again, as you can see, for y-axis it's starting from 0. That's why the line is pushed above, right? Let me make changes again. Scale, alt scale, and 0 is equal to false. We can modify color as well. Dodger blue. Let's use Dodger blue this time. So let me execute this. Okay, sorry, we need to set that scale to y-axis, not x-axis. So let me set it, and yeah, now this one looks quite better. Yeah, so it was that simple to create a line chart. We need to specify data and what columns to use, and majority of the code is same as our previous charts. And whenever I hover over any point in, I can see what is the price over there for that axis. Okay, so this was our first line chart which had only one line. So let's move on and create a one more line chart. Now I want to create a line chart where I have multiple lines. Like let's use our Apple DF data frame, and I will plot a line chart where I have all the prices open, close, low and high. All of them are present in our chart. So in order to do that, I again need to melt our Apple data frame, which I have done over here. So I have date present, then type is type of price which can be open, high, low and close, and value is the value of that price, open price at open or close or whatever price is at that particular date. So let me reuse our previous code. We'll make just minor change over here to create our chart with multiple lines. So first of all, instead of Apple DF, we'll be using melted Apple DF. Like color, we won't be using Dodger blue because we will have different color for different lines. X-axis will be again date. Y-axis will be value this time. And over here, let me set axis. And tooltip will be date. Let's date and type value, and we'll set color parameter. Color parameter will be set to type. So this color parameter will create 4 different lines with 4 different colors. Okay. So let me execute this cell and show you the result. Right, as you can see, now we have our line chat with multiple lines, and I can do interactive over here. I can zoom in. Yeah, yeah. So that was it. It is that easy to create a line chat using Altair. Let's move on to our next chart type. Okay, so the fourth and the last chart type that we will introduce in our tutorial is pie charts. Now I will create a simple pie chart which shows the distribution of wine type. So how many entries in our dataset, wine dataset, belongs to particular wine type. So in order to do that, I have created a new data frame where I have count of entries based on wine type. So let me execute this cell and show you the result. So over here we can see that for class 0 we have 59 entries, class 1 71 entries, in class 2 we have 48 entries. So we'll be creating a pie chart showing this distribution, and we calculated this base using the group by function of pandas. So let me copy my previous code. Let's reuse it. So over here I have copied our previous code, and the data set will be wine count. Method will be mark arc to create arcs, and we don't need to specify x and y now. We need to specify theta parameter, which I will set to count, and color parameter is what is the color of wedge, which is wine type. So let me, our tooltip will be wine type and count. Okay. Let me modify with 400 by 400. Let me remove interactive. Will be a simple pie chart. So wine distribution. Okay, so I think we are done. That's all we need. So theta parameter, we specify value, which is count in our case, and color parameter we will specify type, categorical variable. So based on that, pages will be colored. So let me execute this cell and show you the result. Right, so here we have our first pie chart ready, and whenever I hover over any wedge, I can see like what is the color. Okay, so it was that simple to create a pie chart. Let's move on and create a one more kind of pie chart which is quite famous nowadays, which is donut charts. So I will again create a donut chart showing like distribution of wine type. Now I have copied our previous code of pie chart, and we need to make just one minor change to that chart. Over here we need to specify a parameter named inner radius inside mark arc, and let me set this to 50. It should be between 0 to 100. Generally 100 is the radius. So let me execute this selection. Okay, 50. Let me set it to 70. Okay, 70 is not 90. Okay, so I think that radius is more than 100. So that's why when I'm setting 90, I'm seeing. And whenever I hover over any wedge, I can again see what is the value of that particular wine type, how many examples are present for that wine type. Yeah, so here we have our donut chart. So it was that easy to create your donut chart. We just introduce one parameter to our previous pie chart, and we are able to create a donut charts. All right, so that's it for the day. Here is the summary of charts that we have covered in our tutorial. If you want to learn more about Altair, then I would recommend that you visit our website CoderzColumn, and you simply search for Altair, and over there we have a detailed tutorial on library Altair. So over here we covered like 4 charts, but over there we have covered many different chart types which you can explore. So yeah, that's it. If you liked our video and if you feel that you learned something new today, then give it a thumbs up and subscribe to channel to learn more such Python data visualization libraries. And yeah, see you next time.